this is Jackie, your nerdy crafter. If you're a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, then you know exactly how obsessive you can get. Even though I can relate to Sokka sometimes, I like to think that there's a little bit of Aang in me. And so for this week's tutorial, you guys will learn how to make a cute little chibi Aang. When I posted this picture on Facebook and Instagram, the requests were crazy to make this into a tutorial. So by popular request, that's what you're getting. Here's what you'll need for this project: yellow, orange, brown, blue, black, white, a light skin tone. For this one I'm using Sculpting 3 beige, an already baked brown log, rounded and pointy tools, cutters, an eye pin, pink chalk pastel, rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip to clean off all your fingerprints and dust particles, Sculpey Bacon Bond if you have, if not that's okay, and a sheet of wax paper so that you can do your project directly on there. First thing you're going to do is take your beige clay, make it into a perfectly round ball, and then flatten it down lightly from the sides, not too much in the center, you still want that bulge. Once you have this piece, dip your Q-tip in your rubbing alcohol and clean it up. Now shave some of your chalk pastel on an extra piece of paper and then use your paintbrush to dab 2 little rosy cheeks. Now for the eyes, you're going to need a flat end of any tool. This could also be the back end of a chopstick or your actual tools. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this flat end and press it right above where the rosy cheeks are. Make sure that between the eyes you have about 1 and about 1/3 of distance of the same tool. Like so. Now for the eyes, it's not that difficult. What you're going to do is take your white clay, make a small bowl out of it, and then flatten it down. Once you flatten it down, you're going to put it in the eye socket. If needed, use your rounded tools to keep it in place. Once that's done, you're going to take your black clay, roll it out into an oval, flatten it down as well, and then place it right on top of that white piece. Now before we go any further, remove the head off of your eye pin and place it right under the head. Now take your black clay, roll it out into a really thin snake, and then you're going to use it to do the outline of the eye. You want to place it only as a semicircle. Try not to go further. Now you're going to take some black, mix it in with some white to make gray, also roll it out into a thin snake, and then you're going to make like the letter U at the bottom of the eye. That way we're giving it some color. Now take your white clay, make really tiny little dots, and place 2 on each eye. Make sure that the bigger one is to the left side of the eye. Now roll out your black clay again into a really thin snake until you have 2 ends that are kind of pointy. Take your cutter, remove them, and place them as the eyebrows. Now take your thin snake again and make a little mouth. Now this part is optional. You can either make it with clay or paint it on after it's completely baked, but I'm going to make it with clay. Take your blue, flatten it out as thin as you can get. This thickness should do. And from this piece you're going to cut out the arrow. Now place the arrow on the head. Now for the ears, take 2 small pieces of beige clay, make them into slightly ovals, flatten them down, and place them behind the head. Now we're going to bake the head for 5 minutes at 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure that your oven was completely preheated when you put it in. Now that the head is baked, it's going to be a lot easier to move around. For the body, take a small piece of yellow clay and make it into a teardrop shape and lightly flatten it down. Now take your cutter and remove where it starts to become a bubble. Now take your yellow clay again and make a thick snake out of it, and then cut it in half so that they become the pants. Once you have your 2 legs, take your orange clay and cut out 2 pieces of triangle out of it and stick them on the inside of the thighs so that you have something that looks like this. Now take your brown clay, also roll it out into a thick snake that's about the same thickness as the legs, cut 2 small ends out of it and place them for the boots. Now take your rubbing alcohol and Q-tip and clean it up. Take a really thin piece of orange clay and place it as Aang's belt. Now for the arms, you're going to roll out your yellow clay into a thin snake and cut it at an angle. Now remove part of the tip, and like we did for the boots, you're going to do the same thing with the flesh-colored clay. And here's one arm. Make the second one. Once you have the arms, smooth them in right at the top part of the body. Now take slim pieces of orange again and wrap them around the wrists. Now we're going to put the head. Before we put the head in, Take your cutter, remove part of the top of the body, and replace it with a small piece of beige clay. Now flatten out your yellow again, and you're going to make the color around the top part of the body. Now you're going to do the same thing with the orange clay. Now take your baked stick, place it in Aang's hand, and put his hand in the position you want it to be. And there he is. I'll bake one last time, 275 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. Make sure that your oven was preheated. All done! Now if you were given the chance to bend, what element would you want? Personally, I think I would go for fire bending, just because you don't really need elements around you to do it. But what's yours? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like what you saw, make sure you click on that subscribe button. If you haven't added me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr, make sure you do it. And I'm also letting you guys know that I have a mini giveaway on my Instagram, so if you have one, go check it out. If you have suggestions for future geeky tutorials, leave them in the comment section below. Until then, I will see you guys next week.